Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and Happy New Year. It is so wonderful to see all of you here with us this morning on a bright and early on a Monday morning here in January. But I got to tell you, today's program is going to be incredibly exciting, engaging, and informative for many of you. Some of you might know some of these statistics and facts and information that's going to be presented here this morning, but many of you may not have heard some of these latest trends and the outlook for the future of the hospitality industry. So welcome to our first ever State of the Hospitality and Tourism Summit in partnership with CareerSource Central Florida. Today's summit has been designed to bring our industry and community leaders, along with elected officials, the media, and together for an in-depth analysis on the current economic impact and workforce trends of the Central Florida hospitality industry. Today's summit will also include a panel of industry leaders representing leading businesses, organizations, and educational institutions within Central Florida, including UCF Rosen College of Hospitality Management, Lowe's Hotels, Hyatt Regency Orlando, and the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. Together, our fantastic panel will share unique insights into the industry's landscape and discuss the challenges the industry is facing, provide real-life success stories, and explore strategic solutions that will help shape the future of the Central Florida hospitality and tourism industry. And lastly, we will conclude our summit this morning with small group discussions as we work together to find opportunities to collaborate for the betterment of the workforce and the future of the hospitality and tourism industry. Recently, CFHLA, Experience Kissimmee, Orlando North, and Visit Orlando all partnered together to commission an in-depth and independent analysis by Tourism Economics, which concluded that the Central Florida tourism industry generated an all-time high total of economic impact of over $87.6 billion in 2022. This was a 31% increase over 2021. And we all know that visitors are the economic driver for our region's economy, creating jobs for our local residents and contributing more than $6.2 billion in state and local taxes in 2022, which funded our community schools, law enforcement, fire departments, library system, public parks, and so much more. And lastly, this impact report highlighted that the hospitality and tourism industry created more than 450,000 jobs in 2022, which was nearly 1 in every 3 jobs in the region. Simply put, as a region, we are at the forefront of the U.S. hospitality and tourism industry, and when the hospitality and tourism industry is thriving, so too is our community. That's why today's summit is so important, and we must continue to foster collaboration with our community leaders in order to help steer the workforce and the industry into the future. So now let's officially kick off today's breakfast as we first introduce and thank today's presenting sponsor, Future WRX Solutions and Blue Crew. Let's give a big round of applause. So I want to say thank you to Future WRX Solutions for your support of CFHLA and your sponsorship of today's summit. And before we do the video here, I'm just going to play the video and I'm going to introduce Roger Dow, who is a legend here for our entire country, leading the U.S. Travel Association for many, many decades. And so with that, I want to say thank you again to Future WRX Solutions, and let's play this video.
In this environment of fluctuating demands, a traditional workforce can increase your labor costs. And rigid staffing patterns can make it hard to meet your goal, impacting your bottom line. To get the flexibility you need requires a new approach and a new tool. Future WRX Solutions has partnered with Blue Crew to give you access to an innovative digital staffing platform. The combination of Future WRX Solutions and Blue Crew tech gives you greater control, transparency, and 24/7 access. With a few clicks, your jobs are instantly matched with top talent. For a high-quality, scalable workforce, powerful management technology, and data that can supercharge your business, visit futurewrxsolutions.com.
So again, let's give a big round of applause again here to Future WRX Solutions and introduce Roger Dow.
Thanks, Robert. What a turnout you've got here. Terrific. And I'm here because I want to hear all the great data that you're going to hear. I've seen a little preview of it. It's extremely interesting and addresses one of the things that, even though we've got such a healthy workforce, the challenges we're facing going forward. And we've got to think beyond today to what happens. That's why Mike Gamble, head of Searchwide Global, a lot of you know Mike, and Jason Johnson, we're here today to talk about workforce and a future solution that we can hopefully be part of. We're launching this in the Central Florida area because I can't find a better market where every brand is here, a huge airport, everything going on, the #1 visitor market in the country. So we're going to be talking with a lot of you, and if you like a little bit that's going on, talk to Jason. Jason and Mike, just stand up and so you see where they are. But I'm not getting in the way of the rest of the program. Glad to be here. What a great dynamic area you have. Thank you very much.
So thank you again to Future WRX Solutions for your partnership with CFHLA and supporting our first ever State of the Hospitality and Tourism Summit. And now I'd like to thank our corporate sponsors and our event partners, including CareerSource Central Florida, Experience Kissimmee, UCF Rosen College of Hospitality Management, Valencia College, and Visit Orlando. It's because of your support and partnership that we are able to make today's program a reality. So thank you again, and let's give them a big round of applause. And next, join me in recognizing today's wonderful host, Joe Cardone, the General Manager, and the entire staff at the DoubleTree by Hilton Orlando at SeaWorld for their amazing hospitality and fantastic breakfast. Let's give a big round of applause here. And next, we'd also like to take a moment to say thank you to today's AV partner, Encore. And then it's my honor now to officially welcome and thank all of our elected and community leaders who are here with us this morning. And since we have so many in the audience, please direct your attention to the screens for the full list of attendees. And I'd like to ask each of our elected officials and representatives who are representing various offices to please stand so we can acknowledge and say thank you to each of these fantastic public servants and partners. We truly appreciate your partnership and leadership, and we are grateful that you were able to join us with this morning. So now, with the introductions complete, it is my time for the main program that you've all been waiting for, and it is my honor to welcome to the stage our partner and dear friend, the President and CEO of the CareerSource Central Florida, Pam Neighbors.
Good morning. Happy New Year. It's 2024. Wow. So, do you remember, some of you in the audience who might be the same age as me, when you were small and had a television that was black and white? A few of you remember that? Okay. Do you remember how amazing it was the day you got a color television? Wasn't that incredible? It was like a whole new world. Just recently, at the Visit Orlando Celebration Luncheon, Cassandra and team actually had an incredible speaker, Will Guidera, come, who really inspired us with this notion that service is black and white, but hospitality is color. I was so inspired by that. I really look at the Central Florida community as being one of amazing color and diversity. And so, good morning. Again, I am Pam Neighbors, President and Chief Executive Officer for CareerSource Central Florida. It's an honor to be here today, an honor to work alongside Robert and the CHFLA team. And we are delighted to partner and play a co-partnership role in lifting up Central Florida's Hotel and Lodging Association, our hospitality and tourism industry, which play such a pivotal role in our region. Today is an exciting day as we have leaders and experts from across our unbelievably real region. It's great to see so many of you here. Thank you for being with us this morning. At CareerSource Central Florida, we are a workforce solutions leader in Central Florida. We put a bold focus on providing comprehensive career solutions to both local businesses as well as job seekers and career changers in our region. We help businesses find, hire, and train talent, and we educate our workforce and provide innovative workforce intelligence across our region. CareerSource Central Florida is the second largest career source or workforce development board in the state of Florida. And we are charged with being experts in each of the industries that drive our economy in Central Florida. Today, you're going to discover more about the current state of our tourism and hospitality industry in Central Florida so that we can unite together to discuss solutions and opportunities to meet the needs of the current workforce as well as the future workforce needs that we will have. Here to help me is my dear friend and colleague, Miss Nilda Blanco. Nilda is our Senior Vice President of Operations at CareerSource Central Florida. If you know Nilda, that you know that she is what we refer to as our data guru, our data queen, our data czar. She is an amazing, intelligent, brilliant individual who can tell us a bit about what the workforce looks like here in Central Florida. So Nilda, please join me. Okay.
Leave it to the boomer. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, boomer.
Yeah. We actually need some technical assistance.
Technical assistance, yes.
It is in there. Well, good morning. And while we try to get that, I'm so excited to be here for a Monday morning. Hashtag winning. You all got here on time and look absolutely amazing and beautiful. That's me. Wow. So I've been in workforce development for a hot minute, but one of the things that I love is data. Because data helps us really understand what's happening. It gives us some insights. There's things we may know that are in our gut, but when we see the numbers, we say, huh. But then it can ask us those questions of what if, and why is that? So today, I hope to do this data walk with all of you to give you some thoughts and serve up some food for thought for this morning. Great breakfast. I don't know if data is going to line up with breakfast, but I'm going to try my hardest. The other thing about data is that I try to make data fun. So if I'm not doing that, make sure you tell me afterwards. So let's get started. Central Florida is a booming place. In the last 5 years, we've seen an increase of 10%, and we're going to see another 6.7% growth by 2027. So that means more than 3 million people. They and I will fight on I-4 to get to work, but it will be interesting. Our growth rate in jobs is 2 times that of the national average. Florida leads the country in job growth. And this industry, hospitality and tourism, makes up 40% of our jobs. Couple that with folks that come to see us. We have great entertainment. We like to have fun. We like to eat. And you'll see that our establishments have grown. We've had 74 million visitors in 2022, which is an increase, obviously, from 2021. But we haven't even gotten back to where we were before the pandemic. So before the pandemic, we had 79 million visitors. But I think in 2023, when the numbers come out, we're going to see that we're either there or above it. If you think about our airport traffic, and our airport friends are here, we've seen great increase in travel. We've seen lots of growth in occupancy rates have increased. That to me all signals that 2023 is going to be a lot closer to pre-pandemic than we thought we'd be. This industry drives $87.6 billion of impact in this region. That's 31% over last year alone. And so as we think about all the great things happening here and what Robert mentioned about that impact and ultimately to community, and that driver is definitely there. So let's talk a little bit about more what's happening in the industry. Big picture lesson from how data is structured. One of the things that we see is hospitality and tourism is this big sector, and a lot of different things are in it. But when you start diving down into what we call subsectors, you're going to see a little bit more insight, which is what we hope to talk a little bit more about today. So when you look at the big sector, you look at the drivers of growth. And in there, amusement and theme parks has seen a 5.8% growth of employment. We're going to see more of that with some more great things coming from our theme park industry. You've got more rides coming on. You've got Epic Universe sitting out there. That's just going to grow. Means we need more workers. Full service restaurants, like I told you, we like to eat. More fun, more food. We've seen a 2.4% increase there. But once I get full, I need someplace to sleep. Hotel and lodging is up 5.3%. So all of that, you see, it fuels one another and fuels the next thing. So we've got to look at this both from a big picture perspective, but also understand what's happening in hotel and lodging and some of these subsectors as we think about how we can continue to attract and grow our talent. This is always an ugly picture to show. This is what happened during COVID. So we were bumping along, we had good talent, everybody was happening. COVID happened, we went boom. But then, you see in the first quarter of 2022, we went back up. And you see that 49% growth, that 43.7. But that was all the bounce back from pandemic. We're starting to level out. But the good news there is that we're above employment rates where we were in pandemic. So I think you're going to, again, we're going to continue seeing growth in this industry. And if you look at hotel and lodging, which is the red line there, we're at 8.8%, right behind the theme parks. Businesses are booming. During COVID, we were all home kind of saying, what's going on? Our construction crews were building like crazy. So we had some great boom, and you see that in hotels, we had a 29% growth over 10 years. But interestingly enough, in the last 2 years, that was 14% alone. So all these great properties that are coming online, and the more that they are going, there's a couple more great properties coming online this year, we're going to continue to see opportunities for this region. Current workforce. When you look at Central Florida, we have almost 270,000 people working in this industry compared to the United States at 127,000. We have great concentration of talent. The country looks to Central Florida to say, hey, what's new and exciting there? They want to come steal your secrets. That's exciting. Hotel and lodging, 58,000 of the 269,000 folks work in hotel and lodging and create that wonderful customer and guest experience that you all support here, compared to 13,000 across the country. Whew, it is the race for talent, is it not? I'm sure your HR departments are tired. They're chasing after everybody they can. What job fair do you have this week? I'm going. But we're in a race for talent in all industries. It's not just a you problem. It's an everybody problem. And we start looking at the mathy math. I say that jokingly because when I need math help, I go to our CFO. Just say. But when you look at this, hotel and lodging, our demand was about 16,000. These are unique job postings. Y'all are posting for the same thing too. But big picture, everyone's competing for talent here. Before we look more at the talent in our region, I want to just pause and give you some dynamics that are still happening as you think about talent. Folks come to me and say, Nilda, what's my best strategy? How do I figure this out? Total employment in our region is 1.5 million people, right? Our total population is about 2.9. Do the math. We're missing people. The next factor to think about is labor force participation, which means of the people that can work, how many folks are actually working? We're at 64%. There's other people that are missing still, right? And what's interesting is that even now we're at 64%. The last time this country saw a 70% labor force participation rate was back in the 1970s. We still haven't gotten back there. Our unemployment rate is at 3.1%. Statistically, we do not have a labor problem. And the U.S. Chamber of Commerce just recently shared that in the state of Florida, there are 53 workers for every 100 jobs posted. Ooh, the math keeps getting worse. But there are some things that are bright and that we have to look at. So in 2022, we all were coming out of the Great Resignation. And then we all sat back and looked at that, and it was like, well, wait a minute, hiring rates are going up just as fast as quit rates. So it's really the Great Reshuffle. So it's like everybody at your table getting up at the seat and everyone saying, go left one. So what was the driver of the Great Reshuffle? It really came down to a couple of things, which many surveys have shown, which is compensation. Think about that, because we're going to come back to that word, compensation. Work-life balance, company culture, and ultimately, how can I manage my life in a way that works for me and everything else I'm responsible for, right? So now as we look at that backdrop and looking at talent here in Central Florida. So when we look at the Central Florida workforce, about 71% identify as white, 21% identify as Black or African American, 5% Asian, and 3% one or more races. When we look at hotel and lodging, it lines up pretty closely. Got 66% identify as white, 25% identify as Black and African American, 6% Asian, 2% two or more races. As we dive into ethnicity, we see that in Central Florida, the Central Florida workforce has 31% Hispanic workers. This industry has about 32%. Age distribution. Oh, this is where we have an opportunity. Right now, if you look at our Central Florida population, you see the working age folks, which are your 18 to 54-year-olds. That's what we call prime working age. And you look at hotel and lodging, you actually have a better share than most other workers in other industries. You also have a need to engage your young workers. There's your gap, or a potential gap. And then you have a good number of folks who are about to retire. So a quarter of the workforce here in hotel and lodging, by the data, looks like they're set to retire. Those are your people who've been working in your hotels for 30 years, and you're like, God, I need 50 more of those, right? You're all feeling it. So where do we find that other quarter? So things to think about, and we'll talk about what that could look like. Obviously, when we're thinking about our younger generations and how we can engage them, some of the things I'm going to share with you in this slide, may give you some food for thought. In 2019, it was the first time in this country that we saw 5 generations in the workplace. And they all want something different in a different kind of way. And so food for thought is, when you get to talk in your discussion groups, is how can some of the things that you're looking at take these into consideration? Your traditionalists, there's a very small number of this group in the workforce. They're about 79 to 96 years old. They're dependable, they're straightforward, they're loyal. They served our country, and they know what loyalty means, and they wear that on their slave. Their children, the baby boomers, they drop things. No, I'm kidding, Pam. But they're optimistic, they're competitive, they're workaholics, they're team-oriented. They were taught that loyalty was good and that service was a good thing. They're steadfast. I know these are all stereotypical things. And we all like, wait a minute, that's not me. These are just generalities. So as a Gen Xer, I'll pick on myself too when we get there. As a Gen Xer, I feel abandoned. We get credit for nothing. It was validated for me this morning when I said to our Gen Z teammate, oh yeah, my generation, we know about MTV. She looked at me and said, what? I said, you know, music videos, video killed the radio star. I started singing it. She looked at me, she said, nope, not registering. But this generation is flexible, they're informal, they like to go with it. They're independent. These were the latchkey kids. This was the first generation that were children of women who went to work in large quantities in this country. So they move and shake a little differently, but they feel a little abandoned. I'm not sure if I'm reflecting on myself or not. But then we have our millennials. By 2025, They will be the largest generation in our workforce. And they will probably be led by your boomers and Xers, which will challenge the way we frame things. And if millennials, if you listen to any of their music, you know that they came in like a wrecking ball. And they will let you know about that. But they too are competitive. And they want that work-life balance, but they want to get the job done. They're achievement-oriented. They multitaskers. We look at them and go, I can only focus on one thing. Where are you? Gen Zs, they're 12 to 27. This is the group that we probably have the most impact as far as reshaping their thought about this industry. They're diverse. They like a lot of different people, but they like a lot of different things. They're entrepreneurial. They like to create. They're progressive. They're tech savvy. Thank God I had someone, a Gen Z this morning, because they got me to figure out my mic. What would I do without them? What would we all do, right? They were born with a computer device in their hand. Gen Xers had to figure out, okay, what's the internet? Hey, by the way, Gen Zs, millennials, we helped create the internet. Just wanted to let you know that. But how do we leverage that in the workplace? And if you think Gen Z is something that you've got to figure out and you're not sure how to crack this nut, wait till you get to Generation Alpha. They are sitting in middle schools right now. If they live in your house, I'm sorry. But they're up and coming. And they're trying to figure out the world and why things are fair or not fair and all that stuff. So when we think about our recruitment strategies and engagement strategies, we've got to break out of the things potentially that we have done. I get it. We want to do one thing for everybody and call it a day. But this multi-general workforce and talent that we're trying to attract, it will not be the same thing for everyone. So same size does not fit all, which would ask us to think about how do we use technology to address some of the things. I love that little app. I did. I was like, oh, there's workforce stuff in there. But how do we use technology to make sure that we're engaging and retraining and growing our teams? So as we're thinking about talent attraction, also thinking about transferable skills. This industry has always been known for growing its own talent in a great way. You have development programs, you have professional pathways for folks to engage in, but also think about how you might also reach out to other industries potentially to gain those skills within your industry. Construction. There may be an opportunity to add to some of those things that you have in your hotels. Management, IT, and finance. These are all framework skills that you all can think about. How can you attract into your industry? Which also gives thought about how do we think about reaching out to our post-secondary ecosystem. Many times you may think about your recruiters and say, well, we're hospitality, we're going to go to our hospitality programs, and they are fabulous in this region. We are blessed to have such great programs. There's also an opportunity to go look at some other programs in our region that develop these skills that you could actually bring into your space. Because those folks who are training in construction or IT and finance, they're not thinking about hospitality as an industry of great careers. So there's an opportunity potentially to go into those environments to recruit and talk about the great things that this industry has to offer. One of the big things I'm also hoping to do today with data is talk about wages. I want to do a little bit of a myth buster. There's this perception that this industry may not pay well. I know, I'm letting the numbers tell you. You all feel good about that? I do. Because this is looking at hotel and lodging. Remember what I said at the beginning is that, unfortunately, this sector gets sunk into this bigger sector. And so the impact of wages and the valuable efforts that you allow people to have are kind of lost in translation. But if we look at hospitality and tourism, comparably to the country, competitive, and in Central Florida, as competitive. When you compare to other industries at entry-level wages, the average entry-level wage here in Central Florida of all industries is $28,000 a year. Hospitality and tourism, hotel and lodging, it's $36,000 a year. It's only $1,000 a year behind manufacturing and construction, 2 behind healthcare. And the magic here is that we're just talking about wages. Let's go back to that other word we talked about, which was compensation, right? A lot of times we talk about this is what we pay. We're not telling our story. There's more. There's benefits, professional development opportunities. There's career pathing. That's the story I think we all need to tell about this great industry. It's more than wages, is the experience. So when you also look at high skill, high wage jobs within this industry, woo, y'all are competing. Yes, we got food and beverage, which is about 31,000. And those in HR probably have been seeing this and like, I wish someone would tell this story better because we have great jobs and great wages. You do. And there's great career pathing along with this. So as we just look as an example of career pathing, we have a front desk agent. We're looking at those wages of entry level of $25,000 to $34,000 a year. But if we're able, and you guys have been doing this, and we're able to scale it and but also at a quicker pace potentially, and hopefully with other resources in the region, we might be able to create career pathing that brings someone from a front desk agent to a general manager. Just want to give another shout out to our educational partners. Those that are starter ones that we actually partner to provide scholarships to students. Rosen, we need to get on the list. We'll talk after this. Always a plug, come on. But we have some great programs that are providing great talent. And I think the key here is how can we, in this ecosystem, better partner to bring more capacity and pace to these programs to ultimately make sure that they have direct ties to the great work opportunities that you all offer. Another big opportunity, and I think some of our public schools are here, but in the state of Florida, we have career academies. They're all smaller groups of students and classes that can be focused in on industry-specific things, really working on credentials, working on those framework skills that mirror some of your entry-level opportunities. Here's a great way, potentially, to partner with these high schools to begin those conversations and those partnerships to make sure that that talent, they're your Gen Zers, so just make sure you go in it with full eyes because they want it to be fun, entrepreneurial, and they want feedback all the time. So we got to make sure that if we create this partnership, we go with expectation because young people are quick to judge. They're like, I don't know about you. But amazing that Orange County alone has 19 career academies that are tied to your industry. How many of you are partnering with those academies right now? Hands high, come on. Be proud. All right, I need more of this room to do that. So the next time we do the summit, it's going to be half the room. Y'all need to get your hands up over here. So big picture, if you think about all the things that we're working on or looking at in the workforce, a couple of trends to think about as you think about recruitment and retention. What does that mean to get workers, keep workers? Skills over degrees. I think when we hear about that, we got to think about that 2 ways. It's not just the college degree, but it could be certifications. But at the same time, it could be degrees, but they need experience. So we have great programs, but they need experience. And if we constantly are telling the new workers that we're trying to recruit, go get some experience, they're going to come back to you and say, but no one's giving me experience. Where am I going to get this experience? And they're not sure where that goes. So we have graduates that have yet to land because they're still not sure how to get a job. Also consider that generation. These younger work generations that we're trying to engage. Their parents were impacted by the Great Recession back in 2009. They all lost jobs. So they said what they saw was loyalty doesn't pay because I'm going to lose my job. Then they graduated college or some post-secondary experience or high school, and what happened to them? The pandemic said, no, stay home. So they're still trying to figure out their way in. So as we think about our recruitment strategies and how we look at employment applications, I would encourage some grace because the numbers are not getting better and we will not have more folks to continue to engage. But there's also an opportunity to think about attracting non-traditional workers, which how can we work and develop more programs to engage individuals with disabilities? How can we think about our workplaces for returning citizens? And those are opportunities to consider again. Artificial intelligence, that's coming fast and hard, and none of us know what that's going to look like. But the one thing I will tell you is when you're looking at your employment platforms that you're using, make sure that they're not screening out people. Screen your people in. Workplace being, huge topic. How do we create that balance between what we want folks to do, how can we engage them in our workplace and get them to be part of what we want our companies to be? And the other last piece I'll share with you, pay transparency and equity. Folks are looking to understand what their career pathway is. They want to see it. They don't want to guess it. So the more we can talk about how folks grow and what does pay look like, and that we also embrace equity along the way, will definitely get you an opportunity to engage that workforce. So I'm going to wrap up very quickly with a couple of key takeaways, because I've hopefully landed on all of these through my presentation, is look at your talent attraction strategies. Things that you may have done in the past, maybe working, maybe not. Challenge yourself to say, what if? What if we did something different? Focus on skills. Look at, like I said, look at those new workers from a skills-based perspective, and there's degrees, and help them get that experience. And big picture, I think we all need to tell a better story around compensation, because we get stuck on wages and we lose the experience. So thank you so much for joining us today. I know the panel that's coming right behind me is going to give you some more insight into the industry. I appreciate your time today, and I'll be around after if there's any questions. And just know that the presentation will be emailed to you after this event, and it'll also be found on our website at careersource.com. So thank you.
Great job, Nilda. What amazing intelligence she provided. Please join me in giving her another round of applause. At CareerSource Central Florida, we are leading a thriving destination and place to live here in Central Florida. So it gives me a great honor to transition to our panel of experts. These are individuals who are nose deep in the hospitality and tourism industry in our region. During this panel, we're going to take a deeper dive into their perspectives, how the industry has changed during the past few years, and what the current and future challenges are that we face, any misunderstandings that are out there, and how can we meet the needs of our future economy. So let's get started. But before I do, I'm going to introduce our panelists, who all can come up as I introduce you. First of all, we have Barb Bowden, Area Managing Director at Lowe's Hotels at Universal Orlando. Next, we have my board member as well, but also Mark Haver, Director of Human Resources at Hyatt Regency Orlando. Dr. Randolph Hudgens, Vice President of Human Resources at the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority. Dr. Hudgens. And last but not least, Dr. Cynthia Mejia, Interim Dean at UCF Rosen College of Hospitality Management. Wonderful. So I'm going to start with the easiest question, which is, please introduce yourself and share with us how you got into hospitality and tourism and why you stay. Why are you passionate about this role? So we'll start with Barb.
Very good. Thank you, and good morning, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here and spend this time with you this morning. So the easy question, but when you're talking about a 40-year career, I really will try to be, I'll try to be concise. My path was, I think, like many college students that we see coming to Central Florida today. So as a freshman at Missouri State University, studying hospitality, I walked by a table where Disney was recruiting for a college program, and I stopped by my freshman year and subsequently spent that summer here in Central Florida, doing what they called back then the Magic Kingdom College program. There was no Epcot or anything else. I came to Orlando and worked and knew I wanted to spend the rest of my career in this destination. Went back and graduated, and as I like to say, packed up my little Ford Escort and drove, and started my career at the front desk of a hotel, the Buena Vista Palace. Worked there 2 years, and went and opened a hotel that was being built called the Peabody at that time, now the Hyatt Regency, and basically started at the front desk, and through a series of different positions, ended up as the vice president and general manager. Our hotel was sold, and have been, the last 10 years, have been thrilled to have joined the team at Loews Hotels at Universal Orlando. Why? I'm in my dream job. This has been the best experience in this industry, in this destination, that I could have ever imagined, and so incredibly proud to be part of the hospitality industry here in Central Florida and Loews Hotels. So thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. My name is Mark Havard. I'm the Human Resource Director at the old Peabody Hyatt Regency Orlando. I believe it's been 10 years now that it's been the Hyatt Regency Orlando. I just celebrated 34 years with Hyatt. I'm originally from Michigan. I thought I wanted to be a ski bum and head out to Colorado and get a job at a ski resort in Colorado. But I also wanted to work in human resources. And Hyatt was recruiting at my school, Central Michigan University, and I had an internship at the Hyatt Regency Hilton Head, which is not a Hyatt anymore, but it was an internship in human resources. And when I was in that internship, I saw a lot of hard work, a lot of fun, a lot of career growth, both in and out of the hotel and inside the hotel. And I thought, you know what, this is for me. And working in human resources for 34 years with Hyatt, I found great reward in the impact that you can make on people's lives. And so here I am, and that's why I stayed.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Dr. Hudgens.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Randy Hudgens. I kind of doctor just, but okay. Randy, yes, yeah. I've been with the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority almost 7 years now. Great place to work, something new every day, as well as HR. HR is just everything. You see somebody get born, you see them retire. It's a lot of fun. So it's something that's in my blood. Prior to that, I was with Miami-Dade County with Miami International Airport as well, about 10 years there. And then prior to that, a little different job, Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice, kind of a large swing, but still HR. So been in public sector all my career, 30 plus odd years. Love it to death, would never change it for the world. Great place to, for people to grow and develop and give a stable career to someone. So you're not going to make the biggest amount of money in public service, but you get rewarding lifestyle and career development. So that's why I like to stay there and keep it going.
Excellent. Thank you. And Dr. Mann.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me here today and sharing the stage with these lovely people. My name is Cynthia Mejia. I am in my 4th month as the interim dean at UCF Rosen College. We are the #1 ranked hospitality management program in North America with over 3,000 students who all want to come and work for you. But this is my 2nd career. My first career, I worked for 20 years, coming up through food and beverage in the hotel industry. I was a busser. I peeled potatoes. I worked the hotline, and I moved my way up through food and beverage into hotel management for, like I said, 20 years before coming to UCF 10 years ago. And so the reason that I love this industry, interaction with people, we're the fun makers. I have a passion for back of the house especially. And I would say that at Rosen College, one of the greatest gifts is to work with students and faculty and staff, and especially our industry partners, to hand over all of this knowledge through internships and other things that we do, classroom visits and such, and to really help them in their learning, infuse them with how we feel about the industry, and that still ignites my passion for doing the work.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I am so inspired by the amazing passion and enthusiasm you have for this industry. Tell me, any one of you, from your perspective, as you look back over your career, and even in aviation as it's supporting the industry, how has the industry changed in the last 5 years? We heard a lot of data. We looked at changes from pre-pandemic to post. How has it changed in your space?
Well, I can start.
Sure.
From an aviation standpoint, technology has changed. How we use our airspace has changed across the nation, across the world. Also understanding that airports are not only a place of people traveling in and out, it's a cultural icon to the city, so and to the area. So it's not only an airport, it's a museum. We have great art pieces there. We have great open spaces. People actually come to just visit us. They don't even fly anywhere. They just come in, eat our food, have a good time, and then go home. And we welcome that, because you know what? This is your airport, not just one particular individual, but everybody's airport in the community. So we want to make sure we do a good job there. We want to make sure that everybody enjoys their time while they're there.
Yes, I think that is very true. There is a cultural experience happening with travel as well as coming here to this destination. Any of the rest of you change? Barb?
I would add, I think in the last 5 years, I guess I'd categorize it as just expectations, in all of the audience, expectations of our team members, which we heard a lot about that today, expectations of our guests, some expectations of, what is service today, and looking at service and what do people expect, people's health, all of those things have become things in the last 5 years that we all need to pay attention to, and we're putting a lot of work around that.
Yes. Anyone else?
I would say that, the last 5 years has been probably the most significant change. The race to, after the pandemic, before the pandemic, achieving record levels of business, and to have the pandemic itself, which was in our industry, I'm sure, the most challenging years that we've ever experienced, probably all of us in this room. And then the race back, it started kind of gradually, but then as Nilda's chart showed, the race back for employment was at unprecedented levels, and not just competing with each other in the room, but competing with other industries to find great talent. But I also think we learned a lot about the workplace during the pandemic as well, and flexibilities that we can have in our industry that people might think is quite demanding. Piloting hybrid work, even for operations people, piloting hybrid work, and some from home and some in the workplace. And as Barb mentioned, the well-being and lives of those folks that work in our industry, and the compensation, significant growth. So I think we have a lot to be proud of, but it's been a rapid change.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And I would add in higher education, we now have Gen Z in our classrooms. And echoing so many of the things our speaker said earlier, you know, they are interested in long-lasting partnerships in your organizations. They want to see pathways going in. They are interested in their well-being and work hours and pay and all of those things and benefits that, of course, we were headed that way before the pandemic, but now coming out, they want to know that, that they have a long, long career. They are interested in learning from the older generation of workers. They want that knowledge transfer. And they're excited for their future. And after having been behind computer screens for 1, 2, some of them 3 years, they are so wanting to be around people. And we're in the people business, so that is something that they're seeking, is that high engagement with their coworkers and also with our guests.
Absolutely. Thank you. Barb and Mark, you both spoke about your long and your careers and your passion around the industry, starting as interns. You know, Nilda earlier stated that 40% of our current jobs within Central Florida are connected to hotel, lodging, tourism industry, theme parks. If you were to have a conversation with people who were working in the other 60% of the region and maybe not employed in hospitality and tourism, first of all, what do you think are some of the misconceptions that they might have about the jobs in your industry? And then do you have a story or a little slice of what it is actually like to work inside the industry?
Yeah, I think the most common misconception that people have in our industry is that it's a low-paying job that doesn't really lead to a great career. And this weekend I was taking a look. First off, we don't have any positions, I'm speaking selfishly about my hotel, we don't have any positions that start below $18 an hour. And you know, I look at some of the earnings of our housekeeping room attendants, and they're anywhere between $40,000 and $45,000 a year as a room attendant, and it really makes me proud to have those type of earnings. We have servers in some of our outlets, an outlet that's open 5 hours a day. 5 hours a day this outlet's open. They're making over $90,000, and they have benefits matching 401k. So our industry is not a low-paying industry, and it's also an industry where development and career growth is very, very common. Our current front office manager started as a front office host with us and worked her way through different positions, had her job eliminated during COVID, got hired, rebridged all of her service, and in 7 years, she went from host to front office manager, and her salary grew 350% in 7 years.
Wow.
And she replaced a person who also started as a front office host and is now executive housekeeper at one of our hotels in San Diego. So these aren't uncommon stories and career paths in our industry, and so that's what I would tell the other folks.
Thank you. Barb.
So clearly, you know, there are so many success stories, and I agree with Mark. You know, for somebody who comes into our industry with a growth mindset, you know, we are an industry where you can start, as we have, at entry level and end up in executive roles. But I would also encourage people, when you think about success, everybody defines that differently. You know, not everyone wants to be the general manager. Not everybody wants. People want what fits into their lives. Right. And when you look at that, we know hundreds of people at all levels of the organization who have found success, who have found a job that they love, who have found people they love. They find meaning. You know, they find, as we say, family. and it fits into, you know, what they want as a work-life balance. We offer all of those opportunities for people. And we also, I think the slide in the presentation that talked about transferable skills, you know, people really, I don't think, really understand all the opportunities and all the jobs we have in our industries. We are like small cities, you know, we have IT, we have marketing, we have, you know, engineering, maintenance, all sorts of different opportunities. And unique jobs. I mean, at our Hard Rock Hotel, we have a vibe manager. Who doesn't want to be a vibe manager? So that I think that's what people are surprised, you know, when you talk with people outside of our industry. There is a success that we work with people every single day at all levels of this organizations.
Yes, we are small cities inside the theme parks, inside hotels, and even in our restaurant chain. So thank you for that. So Randy or Cynthia or Mark or Barb, as you think about the challenges that are pressing upon this industry that we've seen in the last few years, how do you see the industry adapting, or how is your industry, or how do you, the employers that you work with at Rosen, how do you see them responding to the express needs that we see in the various generations in our region?
Yeah, I'll take it. So right before the pandemic, as I was chair of a department, and I was seeing that we were very siloed, that industry was working very hard on their recruitment and retention, and so were we in higher ed in Valencia, right? And we saw high schools and ProStart, some of those programs that you had mentioned. We worked very closely with the ProStart program at Florida. And we saw all these different groups working so very hard on the exact same thing. And so we put our heads together right before the pandemic and talked about how do we work more closely together and envision something different, something that is more future bound, right? How do we create a talent pipeline that goes from high school, goes into either Valencia, or goes right to industry, or maybe comes to us? You know, none of us, you know, yes, we're interested in our piece of the pie or whatever, but none of us puts ourselves out there that much that we're the only way to move through into industry. And so we've worked really hard with industry partners, with Valencia and ProStart and other organizations, to collectively understand and market together how do we move students from middle school, high school, up and through education if they want or not, or direct into industry. So we all have a role to play in that, and that's changed too.
And to piggyback off of Cynthia, we've done the same thing as far as airports, the Florida Airports Council and groups like that, partnering with your teammates, so then that way you're not spinning your wheels by yourself, because they've probably seen the same issues that you see, and get that think tank mentality together. I'm glad to see everybody here today, because you know, if you do it all together, you can move forward as one cohesive group instead of being competitive and not really getting anywhere. So we've taken that opportunity to partner with our sister airports throughout the state and throughout the country to see, you know, what the best practices are out there. What are you all doing? And also leveraging local academia. We're with Oak Ridge High School right now, partnering with their high school students and showing them that, you know, they do have a hospitality group with them as well as an aviation group, and that there are jobs available in the industry locally, so we don't lose that talent and have that pipeline. And working with the UCFs and the Rollinses and the Embry-Riddles, so then that way we can keep everybody here in the state.
Yes, and the airport represents, beyond just the traditional tourism hospitality, all of the various aspects of supporting
maintenance,
transportation.
And,
yes, yes.
Definitely.
Mark or Barb, any thoughts on partnerships or things that you've done different?
I think for us, doing things different really focuses on creating a work culture of value and well-being and flexibility. How do we attract and retain people? And partnerships in our community are very important. I encourage you to be involved with schools. Career Source is a great venue. I think that for us, it's about being able to attract and retain people. And I talk to our leaders and our mid-managers. It's kind of the same way that we would welcome our most loyal guest to our hotel. And so when we have a new employee that's starting with us, how are we welcoming that person? And it's interesting to do an exercise, and everything we do for our most loyal guest with Hyatt, and everything we do with a new employee, and how can we mirror that and create an experience that they've never had in any other industry before in their first 30 days of employment, and we can get them into our industry for good.
Yeah, I love that. You know, Will Guidara, in his book Unreasonable Hospitality, talks about take care of the people who take care of your guests. And so that is spot on, Mark.
I would add, our executive chairman, Jonathan Tisch, many of you know him in the room. You know, he wrote a book, The Power of We. And it really is the power of we, and I think through CFHLA and through Visit Orlando, everybody is doing we're all working together to come up with solutions to this.
Yes, we are an incredibly collaborative community. I've always been so inspired by that as I've worked in this community. How do your organizations give back? Mark, you mentioned partnering with organizations for talent, but how do you also give back? I know Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association sponsors high schools and has a great partnership with many of the schools in our region. How do your organizations also give back to the community?
Yeah, I was talking to Barb on the walk-in, and it's such an industry to be so proud of. We all give back to our local Central Florida community in so many ways, whether that's through employment programs. Hyatt has an initiative to hire 10,000 opportunity youth, which are 16 to 24-year-olds that are either not in school or not working. And locally, how do we do that, our share of that here in Central Florida, and who can we partner with to find these young people that Nilda mentioned that we are missing in our employment practice, and how do we actively go find these people, and who do we partner with? So those are some things that we're doing here at our hotel. We, through CFHLA, our Adopt a School program, and many of you participate in that. What a nice way to introduce our industry to young folks in our community at all ages, and also recognize faculty members that are teaching our youth through the Adopt a School program. We also have partnerships that are local nonprofits that last year, this is not just our hotel, but our employees have raised and donated over $10,000 last year to local nonprofits, and we do that on a monthly basis. So, for example, we all know that January is Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and so partnering with Lifeboat, which CFHLA is partnered with, and donating money throughout the month of January that we're able to raise awareness for human trafficking. So these are types of things that we do to make Central Florida a good community to live in.
Excellent. Anyone else have something they want to add?
Yeah, as far as giving back to the community, we've partnered with the Children's Home Society for the toy drive, and also for the back to school drive. And we're always at the American Heart Society Heart Walk, so we're there every year. So we know that the community supports us, and we want to support the community and be there whenever anyone needs some type of support. We had hurricane relief when there was a tragic hurricane down there in Puerto Rico, so we acted as a rallying station there. So we do a lot in the community that helps support making sure that we are a great destination for people to come, live, play, and work.
Excellent. Barb?
Yes, I want to add, because I think this is such a critical topic for today. You know, we've seen what an economic driver hospitality is in our community, but I don't know that everyone realizes what a community philanthropic driver we are too. And typically I wouldn't read a laundry list, but I'm going to, because I think that, as Mark said, what we do at Lowe's Hotels is representative of what a lot of the companies represented in this room do. And I just think it's worth taking a minute. So I want to tell you, so through our Good Neighbor policy, so our main partner, U.S. Hunger, we've assembled more than 3 million meals over the past decade in partnership with this organization. And those meals go to Central Florida and wherever there is a disaster in the world. Second Harvest Food Bank, Clean the World, Russell Home for Atypical Children, Joyful Music Therapy Foundation, Ronald McDonald House, Daily Bread, Magnify of Central Florida, which is assisting those with developmental disabilities, Lifeboat Project through Visit Orlando's program, as you're aware of, American Cancer Society, Come Out with Pride Orlando, Habitat for Humanity. And again, you know, these are organizations that are doing such great work here in Central Florida. And again, my colleagues in the room are doing, we're all working for the betterment of this community, and I think that deserves a punctuation.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
I'm going to combine my last two questions kind of into your reflection. You know, Nilda presented us some amazing statistics, but some amazing challenge as we look ahead in the next 3 to 5 years. So as you finish up here on this panel, first of all, what do you think is the biggest challenge that if we do not meet the workforce needs we will be facing in Central Florida? And then what is the takeaway you hope this audience walks away this morning with? So Barb, I'll go back and start with you at the end.
I think this workforce challenge is something that we have to continue. All of those pathways into our industry and educating those in our industry. It's going to take multiple pathways to solve our workforce challenges. I think the takeaway is really the impact, impact to our community. All of these efforts that we are doing to create jobs and be the economic driver, to continue to be the economic driver to the community, and the positive impact to our Central Florida community would be what I hope people walk away with today.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, it's hard to follow that. It is about impact, and as I thought about my time on this panel over the weekend, it really makes you, if you sit down and think about what you are doing for not only just our community, but the people that are in our community, it's a tremendous impact, and it's something that we should all be proud of, and that message needs to be out there, really emphasized in Central Florida. I think our challenge is to continue to find ways to really show and illustrate the career opportunities that are in our industry, the benefits that we have to offer, the career development that we have to offer, and the stability that we can find with our careers in the hospitality industry. And I also think from a guest standpoint, the challenge is how do we continue to create outstanding experiences that aren't delivered in other areas of the country. So we stay on the forefront of hospitality and tourism in the United States with creative ways to exceed our people's expectations when they come here.
I love it. I think that's very true. Thank you, Mark. Randy?
Along with Mark, the biggest thing is the whole branding, Orlando experience.
Unbelievably real.
It is. I mean, it's here. It's there, and that's at stake right now. If we don't change the way we access our talent pool, how we keep our talent pool here, if you don't find new ways to bring in new people, you become stale. And we as a community and we as organizations thriving in this community cannot have that be in jeopardy. So I know those are strong words, but a lot of these words mean that, okay, we want to maintain that Orlando experience. We want to promote it. We want to push it through the area. I mean, we have the Brightline train coming in from Miami. What used to be a competitor for us, now they're partners with us. People come in from the Port of Miami, do Miami, South Beach, come up the road, and come to Disney World and share in our hospitality here. So a lot of things that we do are interconnected with other people, and we want to make sure that we keep people here in the state, in the region, and make them have a great career here. So the way we've done it at the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority is, okay, day one benefits. You start with us on day one, you have health insurance. That was a big move for us. Next thing, hey, how much does it cost to go to Valencia College? $3,500. Our board allowed us to increase our tuition reimbursement from $2,500 to $3,500 because we want people to be educated as well, but not have the burden of bills and stuff like that. So a lot of what we're doing is thinking out of the box. As Nilda talked about, they might not have experience. Hey, just feel them out. They got a great attitude in the interview. Hire them, train them, teach them, mentor them, grow them, and then you'll have someone that's going to, be loyal to your organization and stay throughout their career here with you.
Yes, thank you, Randy. And Cynthia, finish this off.
Yeah, finish off. So as I mentioned before, we have roughly 3,000 students, the largest hospitality college in the United States. Students from all over the state of Florida come to Orlando to learn about hospitality and tourism and event and cruise ship and airline and all of this, right? And at our career fairs, we have a career fair twice a year. We have over 120 companies come from all over the United States and internationally to recruit our students. They are in very, very high demand. And so I just want to encourage all of you in this room, and there's many who are already here who help and support and do internships with our students and hire our students, who do volunteer work with our students, want to continue that. But I think it's something to think about. What we're focusing on also is not only going to high school, but I think we need to go a little further into middle school and create camps and create different activities that kind of start the bug a little bit earlier with their parents and their families who already work in this industry. I think that we in higher education need to do a little bit more work on reaching out a little bit further in and start getting them started to think about our industry a bit earlier.
Excellent. Please join me in thanking our panel of experts.
Thank you.
So I'm now going to turn our program back over to Robert. So welcome back to the stage. And I promise I won't throw the clicker, Robert.
All right. Can we give another big round of applause to our panelists and to Pam for moderating? I really want to say thank you again to Pam and her entire team, her amazing team at CareerSource Central Florida for the incredibly in-depth industry overview. And we are extremely grateful for our panelists, our value panelists, for their time. Barb, Dr. Mejia, Mark, and Dr. Hudgens, thank you again very, very much for being with us today and for your discussion about personal career development and experiences within the industry, and of course, what that future outlook might look like. So now as we close here today, I do want to again say thank you to all of our incredible partners and our sponsors here this morning, including our presenting sponsor here, Future WRX Solutions. Let's give a big round of applause. And say thank you again to our corporate sponsors, including CareerSource Central Florida, Experience Kissimmee, UCF Rosen College of Hospitality Management, Valencia College, and Visit Orlando. And then lastly, to say thank you to our host here this morning, again, from the DoubleTree by Hilton Orlando at SeaWorld, and to our partner, our AV partner, Encore. Let's give them all a big round of applause. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this officially concludes the State of Hospitality and Tourism Summit. We hope that this was informative and engaging for each of you, and we hope to see you again very, very soon. We appreciate your time. Have a wonderful week, and thank you all again.